This is the Running Horse, just outside Maidstone, where we stopped for our evening meal on the way down from Shrewsbury. We got down to the ferry port in good time. That resulted in us getting an earlier sailing, so that was good, as we arrived in France just that bit earlier. So it was straight off the ferry and a drive to Dunkirk, where we arrived basically in the dark. So this is the next morning, that's where we stayed that night. So a lot of this, certainly the first part of this holiday, has got historical connotations. And obviously Dunkirk featured heavily in the early days of the Second World War, the evacuation of the Allied troops. Well, it being a Sunday morning, wasn't sure how things would be situated regarding cafes being open, but so sniffed out this place.
Very fancy water shower.
So after leaving Dunkirk, we're on our way to Pozières and the Atomic Cafe. So after lunch, we were off then to Compiègne, the place where Joan of Arc was captured. So this is where we stayed Sunday night, and now we're off on a cycle ride to Rouen for more Joan of Arc monuments. This is just outside the city centre at an area called Bon-Secours, and this is the Notre Dame Basilica. And then it was a cycle back to the van, and then we had about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive to Sword Beach, and back into the Second World War theme for the Normandy landings. This is at a little place called Luxembourg, just about a 5-minute drive northwest of Sword Beach. And this is where we stayed that night, just a little bit further along the coast. This was just a mass of pink poppies as we were cycling to Versailles, to the massive Second World War Normandy landing memorial. Obviously the Second World War was pretty much over and done with before I was born. I do remember the ration books though, so that's about the only way I was affected. But I found this memorial thing extremely moving. There were hundreds, if not, well, certainly hundreds and hundreds of these black silhouettes of different soldiers from different regiments. And from here our next stop was well, a cup of tea and our sandwiches, just very close to Longsemer, where the batteries are. So after this we cycled back to the van, and then with another couple of hours or so drive down to Saint-Michel.
Taking the sheep for a walk in the early morning. Look at that. Wow. Mont Saint-Michel in the distance, and that's where we're going today.
They graze the sheep on the salt marsh, and it's apparently a local delicacy. But here we are, just crossing the bridge. It now connects Mont Saint-Michel to the mainland, within walking distance of where we were pitched up that night, and we were there quite early, so beat a lot of the crowds. I assume that's a statue of Joan of Arc. And that, one assumes, is St. George. And then it's time for a brew with some very tame sparrows. But we didn't actually see anything burning, but you could certainly smell musty smoke. This is the free bus that took us back to the main big holiday complex. And then we were off again to Andouille. Quite a longish drive. We got here about 3:15 in the afternoon. And this I think is a red squirrel, but it's very, very dark. But it was nice to see it. So seeing the red squirrel was probably the most exciting event while we were here. We had a busy couple of days, so we thought we'd just have a chill day today. These municipal sites are very good. Just over £10 per night, including a hookup and all these facilities as well. So after our rest day, it was a longish drive and a bit of shopping to get to our next place, which is a bit further south and in the Loire Valley, famous for its chateaux. We stayed here 3 nights, and once again with a hookup and some toilet and shower facilities, just over £12 a night. And we even get to see the hot air balloons. This was a sort of a display of different varieties of grapes. It was very close to the site, just near a roundabout. But as mentioned before, Loire Valley is famous for its chateaux, and today we're going to have a ride to Chateau de Chambord, one of the more elaborate ones, as you will see. And this is the outskirts of the city of Blois. And soon after leaving Blois, we arrive at the Chateau de Chambord. I certainly am.
Well, I'm just going to say as soon as your face.
Back at the site, this butterfly seemed to be attracted to my foot. And then we saw another red squirrel. Now that is obviously a red squirrel, nowhere near as dark as the other one that we saw. So today we had a walk over the bridge across the Loire River. Had a look at the Chateau de Chaumont. Couldn't remember what it was called then. But we had a walk through the massive sort of outdoor market there beforehand, big car boot sale type thing. spotted this gecko just as we were walking to the supermarket.
Ooh. Some dude at the back of a truck, like you do. And we're just going past all the vineyards, loads and loads of grapes, as far as the eye can see, everywhere we are. Anyone would think we were in France. So this is Turquant, and this is a very interesting bridge.
Turquant, yes, of course.
You just said Turquant.
I saw a sign for Turquant.
Okay, we're nearly at Turquant.
Take the first exit.
Trog caves are over there.
The Trog caves are over there. I know what Trog is, you lunatic.
This is a very wide river,
So we're going to see the Troglodyte caves soon. We are just approaching the campsite, the air. So it's not really a campsite, it's one of the little things. So yeah.
So this is the air at Turquant. And they were on our way to the sort of proper Trog caves. I suppose these were being lived in at some point, but now being turned into shops. And even though we're on the Greenwich Meridian, we're still an hour in front of British Summertime, or GMT. Now these are the caves, the Troglodyte caves that we've actually come to see. As you can see, there's been some renovation work, quite a lot of supporting brickwork, stonework, whatever. It's hard to believe that people lived in these caves until about 1930. But as I mentioned before, many of them have been turned into businesses, shops, etc., and even a B&B. This is our ride to Chateau de Housset. This is the chateau that inspired Charles Perrault in his novel Sleeping Beauty. And this isn't Chateau de Housset, by the way, this is just something we passed on the road. Quite a splendid building though. I forgot to mention earlier that obviously this footage is taken by the helmet cam. Unfortunately at the time and date are miles out, so you just have to ignore all that. And then we were back to the van in time for lunch and took advantage of this little shelter just by the side of our van. And then we packed up and set off to Brantôme. Brantôme's famous for its abbey. After a cup of tea we had a look round there. So after visiting the Abbey, we thought we'd have a trip on the River Dron, with one of these flat bottom boats, but apparently the water levels were too high, so we couldn't get under the bridge. So we went back to the van and had lunch, and this is just a part of the park restaurant here. And we didn't have lunch in the restaurant, we just had our own lunch, and then we set off to Condom.
So we're now leaving the narrow streets of Condom. And what did you say about it?
It's a tight fit.
Yes. This Condom is a tight fit. Tight fit, even. We're both children, and that's just how it is.
So this is Camping Le Jante, just on the outskirts of Condom. This is the Petit Bays, although it looks like a canal, and I think it actually is, as the main river sort of runs in a loop round to the right. But we followed this all the way into town. Apparently, because of the unusual name of this place, all the nameplates that bear that name have had to be screwed down, nailed down, whatever, to stop people pinching them. But we weren't here for that. We were here to find the statues of the Three Musketeers plus D'Artagnan, and they are somewhere near this cathedral. Now, we didn't actually go into the main cathedral, this is just like an annex to it, but very nice, very ornate. So the guidebooks weren't wrong. Here are the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan.
So just before all the trees got in the way, there you go, there they are. Pyrenees. More trees. And the captain is very excited because he's never been there before, and that makes it mean more to me because he's been nearly everywhere.
Not quite.
Nearly.
Never been to Rome.
Never been to Rome.
I think Sue were gagging for a cappuccino, so we pulled into a McDonald's. We ate on lunch, but I had a cup of tea, so had a cappuccino. And this is at Lord's, by the way, just outside Lord's.
Can you see left?
So now we're on our way to the Pyrenees. There's a place up there called Gavarnie.
I don't know how we're going to go. Turn around.
There's no left turn out of the McDonald's car park towards Lord's itself, being routed this way.
At the roundabout, take the second exit to D821.
Valley, a river, there's probably a river at the bottom. Look at that. You can see that from there.
Just there passing a picture of bears. And apparently bears have been reintroduced into the Pyrenees. Not sure where. but I'm sure they're not in the busy tourist areas.
At the roundabout, take the second exit.
Yeah, anything about got Giovanni on the things now.
So yes, we're getting closer
Tour de France.
and the roads are getting narrower.
We don't want to be that quiet.
Continue on D921.
A lot of people say yes we do, but
This was a bit of a scary bit where this wagon coming down and the wall comes in, so the road goes even narrower.
only an inch off Sheffield wall here. And I bet I was less that middle, I bet close to him.
They would cycle up the Pyrenees.
Well, we saw quite a few cyclists, both male and female, all pretending to be in the Tour de France.
This was built.
Big D, windscreen, massive. Like it were lost.
So here we are at the air, just above the village of Giovanni. Weather looks beautiful, which it was for a while. Just as an aside, and the day after the following day, when we actually did the walk to the Cirque de Giovanni, when we came back here, there was 3 vultures flying, which we'll see a bit of footage of later. So then on Friday night, this happened. Not sure what time this is, but I was woken up by all the flashing lights. The thunder started later on, and unfortunately I haven't got any of that on video, but there were some horrendous crashes and some heavy rain. It was amazing how 1 minute you've got a lovely view and a few minutes later all gone, you're just looking at cloud. That's how quick mountain weather can change. So as you can see, Saturday was a complete washout and we were confined to the van.
I'm videoing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I want to sing in daft on purpose.
Yeah. What for the last 7 years?
What?
What?
And that's just rain pouring off the roof of the van. So this is the start of the walk to the Cirque de Giovanni. Hopefully we'll see a bit of sunshine today. This is our first view of the summits around the cirque. Still quite a bit of mist though, spoiling the view, or giving it atmosphere. I think there must be a bit of the devil in Sue because she don't like crossing water. And here we have a little bit of the flora. And that's something I forgot to mention right at the very start, that some of this video is on my camcorder, some's on my phone, some's on Sue's phone, some from the dash cam and some from the helmet cam. You meant to use the chain. These are the Giovanni Falls. With a drop of 422 metres, it makes them the highest falls in mainland France.
Always fun. Oh dear me, this is where I die. Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, Sue doesn't like crossing water, unless it's a bridge of course, it doesn't bother her. So we're quite concerned about this one. So eventually I had to put the camcorder away and go give her a hand. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that we saw some vultures. Well, this is a different one, and this was flying overhead, obviously, just before we got into the village of Giovanni. So we're just entering Giovanni now and looking for an ice cream shop. But I was unlucky, didn't find one. So we're nearly back at the van now. So we saw some flora earlier on and see a bit of fauna now. And this is one of the vultures that was flying over the van really. very close anyway. So from the mountains of the Pyrenees we set off towards the seaside. At first we stopped en route to stay overnight at this air by the side of a motorway. Foras is about halfway down the Atlantic coast of France, about 100 miles north of Bordeaux. So Tuesday the 9th was a rest day before going to La Rochelle on Wednesday on the bikes. So La Rochelle is known as the White City because of its luminous limestone facades, and it was also the place where the early French settlers of Canada sailed from. This chap was born in La Rochelle in 1775 and obviously a high-ranking naval officer, and became the Admiral of France, and he died in Paris aged 71 in 1846. So here we've got a few clips from the helmet cam, basically just to show how well France really is set up for cyclists. It's not like it's all over the place. Obviously we did have to ride on some main roads, some busy roads, but there were loads and loads of dedicated cycle tracks all over the place. And most of them are tarmacked or paved in some sort of way. It's not all gravel like that.
No, if you just said it's over there, then it's over there, isn't it? Right, follow that cycle path.
So tomorrow was another rest day, tomorrow Thursday, and then Friday we just had a walk into town again, had a look around the market, and went back to a cafe that we'd already used because it was Sue's birthday, and then back to the van for our evening meal. So today is another cycle ride to Rochefort or Roquefort. This is the main sort of central square. It's not a market square, but full of restaurants. So this is where we had lunch today. This is another of Sue's obligatory selfies on one of the cycle tracks. So this was our last day at the seaside. The weather hadn't been brilliant, but it was a nice break. Expensive, but still a nice break after a hectic sort of couple of weeks. So today we had a walk on to Foras Point. This statue is at Virgin Beach, and you can evidently see Fort Boyard from here, but it doesn't show up in this shot, so maybe it's not actually in the shot. Now I think they do boat trips from here to Fort Boyard, but also to an island there, Ile d'Aix, I don't pronounce it, AIX. And the fort you can see there is Fort Ennet. And there were quite a few of these oyster catchers wandering around.
Better catch up.
Today from Foras we drove to a little place called Les Mesures to have a look at these wetlands. This was like basically a stop off on our way to Orléans. It was too far to drive it all in one day anyway, so we eventually stopped at a lay-by the side of the road, not far from a place we'd already been to, on Zane. And somewhere in there is a stork. There you go. And this is where we spent the night, not far from Onzane. This is the aquatic adventure park just outside Orléans. So after we got sorted out we walked a couple of miles into Orléans. And we're back with the Joan of Arc theme. And there we have the cathedral. And the obligatory Joan of Arc statue. Then I found an ice cream shop that sold pistachio ice cream, and so we got a cappuccino. And this is basically the story of Joan of Arc. And another statue. That's the last one we'll see today. This is the aquatic adventure park where we stayed last night, and this morning, after a ride just round the lake about 3 miles, we set off to go back to Whistle, just outside Rouen, and onto the banks of the River Seine. We were on this exact same site early in the holiday, but we didn't actually have a look around the village. So this is us having a look around the village. There's the Chateau de la Marquise and the War Memorial. Bit of decoration there, and the church. This is our second visit to Rouen. Last time we were here, we got sort of messed up with all the roadworks and things and Google Maps, and we didn't go to the market square, which is a place where Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. This is the market square. See if you can spot the teddy bears. Here they are. And this is the place where Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. This is the rather splendid Notre Dame Cathedral. And then in the morning we continued our journey towards Calais, stopping off at this place Montreuil, and there I got another ice cream. The town is surrounded by these ramparts which were constructed in the 16th century. So this morning we decided we'd have a walk round before setting off on our final drive to Calais.
It's the first time he's got his drone out while we've been in France. Euphemism? No. We'll buy some ramparts. Montreux or something. I'm not good at the place names. But yeah. This would not be a good place to lose it because I'm not going too close because I'm terrified of heights. But it's a long way down.
Montreuil has got strong links with Victor Hugo because it was in this city that he located most of the first part of the novel Les Miserables. It's funny how Sue ducks there, she thinks she's going to get attacked by a flying drone. I'm guessing we shouldn't really have been on this bit because of the falling away of the wall of the rampart, but until we got to here we hadn't seen any sign of anything restricting access. Montreuil was also the headquarters of the British Army in France during the First World War. And this is Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig. Well, I was hoping to get my last ice cream, but unfortunately the place didn't open until later on, and we had to set off for Calais.
On our way back to Old Blighty.